If you were to name the top 5 worst presidents in U.S. history, who would you pick? If you know anything about nutrition and exercise, you know that if you want strong bones, ligaments, tendons, muscles, hair, teeth, skin, nails, whatever, you need the 5 types of collagen in your diet. You can grab that through BioTrust. This stuff is awesome, guys. Click on the link in the description. If you don't know anything about it, you can watch a couple of the videos and get up to speed, but do yourself a favor and grab some. Who was the worst president in U.S. history? Was it Trump? Obama? Nixon? How does one even gauge that? Here are 5 candidates for your consideration and the reasons. The first worst U.S. president would have to go to a guy who's responsible for the legalized murder of between 600,000 and 900,000 Americans. The guy who oversaw the creation of the first ever income tax and commissioner of the Internal Revenue Service and granted the power to confiscate private property for non-payment of taxes. A guy who suspended the writ of habeas corpus, censored and arrested journalists for speaking negatively of him, and imprisoned thousands of civilians without due process of law in an unprecedented assault on the Constitution. And as irony would have it, this guy is hailed even to this day as the great emancipator, a guy whose face is stamped on our penny and printed on all of our $5 notes of debt, a guy whose massive memorial sits in Washington, D.C. as a symbol for freedom, truth, and integrity. Listen to this man's speech from September 18th, 1858, and you tell me what kind of person he was. Quote, "While I was at a hotel today, an elderly gentleman called upon me to know whether I was really in favor of producing a perfect equality between the Negroes and white people. While I had not proposed to myself on this occasion to say much on that subject, yet as the question was asked of me, I thought I would occupy perhaps 5 minutes in saying something in regard to it. I will say then that I am not, nor ever have been, in favor of bringing about in any way the social and political equality of the black and white races, that I am not, nor ever have been, in favor of making voters or jurors of Negroes, nor of qualifying them to hold office, nor to intermarry with white people. And I will say in addition to this, that there is a physical difference between the white and black races, which I believe will forever forbid the 2 races living together on terms of social and political equality. And inasmuch as they cannot so live, while they do remain together, there must be the position of superior and inferior. And I, as much as any other man, am in favor of the superior position assigned to the white race." He also said, "Judge Douglas has said to you that he has not been able to get from me an answer to the question whether I am in favor of Negro citizenship. So far as I know, the judge never asked me the question before. He shall have no occasion to ever ask it again, for I tell him very frankly that I am not in favor of Negro citizenship." Abraham Lincoln, one of the most tyrannical presidents in our history. The next worst president is a guy who was pressured by bankers that had loaned the Allied powers over $2 billion. Woodrow Wilson entered the U.S. into World War I and was directly responsible for over 320,000 U.S. casualties. This act of thrusting the U.S. into a world war set the geopolitical stage for every military conflict since and quickly advanced the rise of the military-industrial complex. Amschel Rothschild is noted as having said, "Give me control over a nation's money, and I care not who makes its laws." Woodrow Wilson is the guy who turned our nation's money over to the international banking cartels by creating the Federal Reserve, which over the years has destroyed American purchasing power through unbridled debt. In his book, The New Freedom, Wilson wrote, "Since I entered politics, I have chiefly had men's views confided to me privately. Some of the biggest men in the United States in the field of commerce and manufacture are afraid of something. They know that there is a power somewhere, so organized, so subtle, so watchful, so interlocked, so complete, so pervasive, that they better not speak above their breath when they speak in condemnation of it. Those are the people Woodrow Wilson turned America's money supply over to, sealing his position as the second worst president of the United States. The third in our list of worst presidents in U.S. history would be another guy people like to set on a pedestal, FDR. This Constitution trampler eliminated the specie gold standard and criminalized holders of gold with Executive Order 6102. Anybody who held gold during this time, if they were caught, would be fined $10,000 or sent to prison for 10 years or both. The enforcement of this law stole a 75% increase in American gold wealth. FDR's economic policies prolonged the Great Depression and created the Ponzi scheme of Social Security. He moved the U.S. fleet to Hawaii in 1940, which prompted the attack on Pearl Harbor. As a result, FDR used this event as a justification to incarcerate over 140,000 Japanese Americans with no due process. The fourth worst president award has to go to LBJ. Johnson escalated the Vietnam conflict with the Gulf of Tonkin lie that the USS Maddox was fired on by Vietnamese torpedo boats. Even mainstream media reported on this lie, and it was widely popularized. This ended up being Johnson's pretext to prolong a war that ended up killing 59,000 servicemen and 1.5 to 3 million Vietnamese civilians. The war ended up costing 2.3% of the GDP in 1968. To add insult to injury, LBJ greatly expanded the Social Security Ponzi scheme with the Medicare-Medicaid scam and created the infrastructure of a welfare state that has doomed millions of lower-income Americans to a cycle of continued poverty. The fifth worst president position would have to go to Mr. Unpatriotic Patriot Act, George W. After 9/11, Bush increased the size of the government beyond any tyrant's wildest dreams while creating a de facto police state in the name of protecting national security and saving us from the terrorists. The war on terror had begun, but it wasn't really a war on terror as much as it was an all-out offensive against the American people and their freedoms, which continues to this very day. And it should be noted that Obama, Trump, and Biden all support the Patriot Act. Even the naming of the USA Patriot Act seems to be what ensured its easy passage. It stands for Uniting and Strengthening America by providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct terrorism. The 300-page document was signed into law just 45 days after 9/11. Courtesy of the Project for the New American Century, no doubt. Bush invaded Iraq and Afghanistan, killing millions and spending trillions. He's responsible for creating the Department of Homeland Security, which includes the blue shirts of the TSA. He also expanded the Ponzi scheme of Social Security with Medicare Part D, which has eclipsed Social Security's trust liabilities in just a few short years. Those are the top 5 worst U.S. presidents and the reasons. If you can think of presidents who were worse, leave your suggestions in the comment section below and why you think they were worse. If you get something out of these videos and you want to support the channel, one of the best ways you can do that is by liking and sharing this video with everybody you know, everywhere you can on social media. If you want to support further, the Patreon, PayPal, Subscribestar, and Bitcoin links are in the description below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon, and subscribe to my private email list through my website, highimpactflix.com, and my members-only upload site, highimpacttv.com. I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video. Guys, we already know that they want to decimate the dollar, destroy the economy, bring us into a cashless society, and eventually make it difficult for us to even get food. That's why I constantly promote My Patriot Supply. Every chance I get, I turn my fiat currency notes into long-term storable food. This stuff is awesome. It's got a 25-year shelf life. And one thing we're all going to need is storable food. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. With my link in the description, you get $100 off of every order instantly. It'd be a good idea to order it while you can, because I'm not sure how much longer they're going to be able to ship this out. My link for your $100 off discount is in the description below.